Kavita said, are you not recording your lives anymore and posting them? So, yes, Alexa, stop. I am. But what I realized were the last lives, we were really just like kind of hanging out. There was not a lesson per se. So I was like, okay. But today, we're going to get back into our format, right? 3 talking points, a reframe. So this will definitely be reposted as a lesson because that's the intent of reposting it is more for people to get the lesson. But when we're just kind of like hanging out and chatting and catching up, that doesn't necessarily need to be reposted. But today's will be, Kavita. All right. So let's get into it. If you have been reading, and no, you haven't missed anything. We've really just been hanging out, honey. Um, this month, we're talking about the Gilded Age because, like, I binged the show and it was amazing. And I was like, okay, we could do a whole lot of unpacking around the Gilded Age, what it was like then, how that shows up now, and how this thing just keeps on going, right? How systems keep replicating themselves, how the conversation doesn't really shift. It just recycles, right? So I was like, okay, this is fun. And like I said, I move with the seasons. It's September. September is a liminal space, right? You're in between 2 seasons. Cause like it's 50 or 60 in the morning. Good morning, Karen. Hi, Laura. Hey, Zena. And by the afternoon, it's 85 degrees, right? So it's like, what the hell is happening? So in that space is what I like to call September stew. Right? A perpetual stew is something like you would keep on an oven or in a fire or in a crock pot, and you just keep adding things to it, like what's happening. So I was like, okay, we're going to just do like pop culture things, right? So the other day I spoke about the farmers. Like I'm still so devastated about the farmers in Arkansas, and I'm just amazed at the lack of concern and the overall generalization. And I'm speaking about this very specifically from white-bodied people. I do not think that Black people owe any empathy, though we consistently extend it. I do not think it is owed. I do think that white people are called to action in this point in time to show some empathy because there is an assumption that all of the farmers in Arkansas voted for this. And that's a wild thought, right? That white people will generalize white people, but when we generalize you based on history, not all white people. So we're going to be having conversations like that throughout September. Abia says, yes, it just shapeshifts, chameleon-ass systems of oppression. Exactly. So that is what I was like, oh, September is going to be that fun little perpetual stew. Let's just toss things in. Let's talk about it, what's going on with the Gilded Age being the foundation of it. So today is really the first actual live that comes as a lesson from my lesson plan. So nobody's missed anything. And today, good morning. How are you? I'm Desiree B. Stevens, and I pathologize the system of whiteness. So today's podcast episode is Are You Brave or Are You Comfortable? Get something hot to drink. Listen, one thing I love is some coffee in the morning. Okay? Get your water. Hi, Pedro. I missed you. Okay. So, are you brave or are you comfortable? Unmasking the illusion of safety in a collapsing empire. Because make no mistake, it is collapsing, right? Another thing to throw into the stew, and I was going to be like, I think I'm going to just shoot it in notes and not consistently write all these articles so people are not inundated with emails. But I was thinking about Chicago the other day. I saw a clip, right? And the people of Chicago, y'all kick ass. I'm here for it. I love the way you're giving it up. I love that, truth to power. They are literally fending off ICE agents with their cars, with their bodies, doing all of this. And I was like, we really need to think about the scale of the United States of America, right? I currently live in Atlanta, Georgia. The war was going on in more rural parts of Georgia, and Atlanta was not even impacted, right, during the Civil War. So when you think about it that way, like there's still a civil war happening, right? We've seen it in DC, we're seeing it in Chicago, we saw it in LA. These are small factions of a civil war. This is what that looks like. And because we are so large, that often goes unnoticed, right? It's like, oh, it's unrest. Civil war is unrest, right? The idea of why we call it civil war is because it is a war between people on the same land, right? It's not a foreign war, but that is the idea, is that it's civil unrest. Civil unrest is civil war. It is visceral. Chandler says, I'm listening and will be engaged when I can. I am working on other things right now. Absolutely. Come in and out. And like I said, this as an actual lesson will be reposted. When we're just hanging out, no need to repost. If you happen to be here and we're hanging, then cool beans. Love to see that. Love for you to hang out with me. So that is, these are the kinds of things that we're getting into. But today we're going to be talking about, are you brave or are you comfortable? Unmasking the illusion of safety in a collapsing empire. 3 talking points. 1, comfort is not safety. Because are you really comfortable? Let's really think about that. Are you actually comfortable? But either way, comfort is not safety. 2, okay, why my finger's not scrolling? Bravery isn't loud, it's consistent, right? Showing up over and over again, doing the same work that you have the capacity for over and over again. That's bravery, right? Bravery is about doing something when you're scared, doing it scared anyway. Right? It is uncomfortable to talk to your family. It's uncomfortable to, show up to marches. It is uncomfortable to speak in, your board meeting. These things are uncomfortable, and scary, but that's bravery and it has to be consistent. 3, moderation is a trauma response, not a liberation strategy. Okay. The other day, I made a really heavy, strong post about the moderate will always sell you out. This is historical. I've got a few unsubscriptions for it. I anticipated that, right? Because as soon as white body people do not feel good about what you're saying, they will do the first thing that they could do, which is impact you in capitalism and remove and withdraw their financial support. That's just part of the work, right? And that's part of my bravery. I show up knowing I could be potentially broke. But that is just what you got to do, right? Got to do it. And, it'll find the people that it needs to find and who can support, yada, yada, yada. But in that article, I was just talking about the history of moderate, that liberal person. And right, one, we have to work on how we identify with these. I have no political identity because none really fits me. I do not want a political identity because I'm literally trying to guide and teach you how to build parallel systems. And in that parallel world and systems, those things would not exist. So I do not need to be defined as one. I do not need to be a liberal. I do not need to be leftist. I need to be free. I need to be free from the constructs of this system. You also need to be free from the constructs of this system. Okay, that's how that works. So there we go. Breathe, drink water. Okay, let's get into it. So we're going to go to number 1. Moderates chose civility while lynchings happened in broad daylight. That is the origin of picnics in this country, right? People would go, or white people, let's be very specific, white moderate liberals who were just so polite, right? Because there's this idea, this internal war and whiteness, that it's just these country ass, ignorant yokels with no education. And I'm here to tell you that's not true, right? The very affluent, the very wealthy sat around properly in their picnics, in their finest doodads, with umbrellas and their children around whilst men were hanging, being castrated, burnt, and fed their own genitals. That is the truth. That is the reality. Okay. So you have to sit with that and you have to grieve that, right? Because that has always been the moderate position, right? Let's not ruffle too many feathers. Let's wait just a little bit. Oh, but it's better than it was. Again, it's a cycle of abuse. If I'm in an abusive relationship and my partner is beating me relentlessly, and then all of a sudden, instead of beating me, they just spit on me occasionally, I'm still in an abusive relationship. And the goal is to not be in one. And in order to not be in a relationship that is abusive, there needs to be a place for me to go and escape to and be actually safe, not just smile and hide the bruises. See how that works? So, moderates chose civility while lynchings happened in broad daylight. The rise of robber barons was met with polite applause in drawing rooms while workers starved in the streets. People feel disruption more than dehumanization. Yes, Chandler, that was a normal part of lynching. Castrate, shove in mouth. Malcolm X's knife in the back analogy. Right! That is such a great one. I love that, right? He's like, if you put the knife in me 10 inches and I'm paraphrasing and pull it out 6 inches, the knife is still in my back. Get it out. get it out, right? That's not, my analogy is like when I'm talking to people, it's weird. This country wants to punch you in the face, right? If I walk up to you and I punch you in your mouth and now your teeth are out and your lip is bleeding and I hand you some ice and a tissue and my best dentist, you want me to be thankful for that. You know what? I wouldn't need any of these things if you didn't punch me in the mouth. Okay. So these are the things that we're going to have to be dealing with as we are watching things become increasingly more violent, increasingly more desperate. And we're going to watch our huge shredding. Right between the middle class is never supposed to be there. I think Kamala, in my opinion, was so popular because that was her platform, right? Like, oh, I'm going to save the middle class because she's aware that the middle class was never supposed to exist. It was always supposed to be the have and have-nots. White people were very fine with having white people serve them and be their servants and be lesser than them. And you could see that in the Gilded Age. It was so wild when, if you watched it, Jack was like an Irish footman, right? When he did the service like a butler. And he redeveloped a better way of making a clock, right? So he wound up selling the patent for it. And I think it was like $300,000. I think it was something like that. I can't remember the exact details right here. I have like notes and stuff. And Agnes, whom I absolutely, she plays a part. She was like, oh, in what sort of world dare God exist? Does a footman rise in this sort of way? And I'm like, they've always been fine with having someone. And these are the people being portrayed in the show as that moderate, right? They're very progressive. They let Black people through their door. They're shocked when the white doctor won't take care of Peggy, who's a Black. She works for me. She's my secretary. How dare you not do this? How dare you act and feign such ignorance in a time of such deep segregation and in a time where people were just released from the chains of enslavement? That's a moderate position. That is a liberal position. Yes. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Some of them did eat us as well. No, yeah. That's a whole other lesson in cannibalism that goes back to the annals of time, down to Egyptian mummies and the Englishmen surviving off of them. Kavita said, it's so obvious to me. I can't believe it's not so obvious for white people. It's not so obvious because we don't exist for real for white body people, right? We exist in the periphery, in the margins, right? We like my cat here, right? My lovely cat is here. She's existing. I feed her. I love them, but my life doesn't revolve around my cats, right? I'm still living my life. I'm still going to work. I'm still doing all of those things. And when you come into a system that has dehumanized people, right? And it began with them, their own selves. So if you've got a system where you dehumanize your own self, and then there is a very clear marker, like, oh, here is this color skin. And we see them quite literally as property, like animals. We were literally three-fifths of a human being. Chattel slavery is literally that is the shift in the enslavement systems that have been historically found is like in chattel slavery, you were born into it because you were an animal. Hey, Rascal. Chandler says hi. Pedro says they even made postcards of lynchings. Oh, yeah. Lynching postcards were super popular. The depravity knows no ends, right? Tiffany says, Pedro, yes, I was going to comment that I read Caste this year and learned that that was, oh, yeah. Did you just learn that? That's interesting, right? And this is the reason why people and educators like myself exist because there's so much history, right? So like when white people are coming to this work of anti-racism, they're just like shocked why we're just so angry or despondent and like, you know what? we don't want to do this with you. We don't want to, I don't want to. It's because of the lack of information that you have. And, we're just now in this time of connection, right? It's not like these stories didn't exist. You also didn't know where to look for them. Educators like myself did not exist. We were not allowed to. So you now we have the ability to talk to people around the world. Kavita is not here. I know. Like, see, I remembered. People are around the world and we're able to have these conversations and learn about each other's own histories. And for the first time in recorded history, right? Because oral history matters and is always been valid. But for the first time in recorded history, you have the ability to hear from those who are have been and continue to be oppressed in a real and profound sort of way. Tiffany says, and the USPS at some point refused to send them. So people started putting them in envelopes so they could still send them. See, like we invented, because of our suffering, you guys got envelopes. Karen says, love you, Desiree, going into work now. I love you too, Karen. Come back. I will have this recording up. This one actually will. Kavita says, definitely, I would not be able to learn this truth in history if it wasn't able to connect. It's true. Chandler says, that reminds me of the studies where the automatic hand things don't recognize darker skin. Correct. Or the study that white people don't acknowledge Black people because they literally don't see us on the same level. Right. And that comes from their own systems, right? Like it's the same exact studies for how white men don't see white women is exactly how white people, which includes women, yes, you are your men, don't see Black and brown people. Same thing, right? Because again, those systems were curated and perfected within whiteness, right? There's another study about like leg spreading for men, like you sit and you spread because men don't see other people, white men don't see other people, right? They're not going to get smaller, they're not going to shrink. And that comes from the white cis het male patriarchy, right? And then they don't see white women as people. They were their property. That translated outward when they decided race would be a good idea. White men and white women then started using it. That's the first time white women actually could see power inside of the patriarchy, and as long as it was being utilized against Black bodies. Carolyn says, Royal Stars, Nat Turner class was a real eye-opener for Black-white relations during active slavery and the psychology of the enslaver. I highly recommend. I love Royal Star. That's my baby. That's my baby. Abia says, just lost a friend who wasn't willing to look at me as a woman of color. She just wanted to love me as a woman. It's suffocating. And it is, right? I have tons of relationships with so many different people, and many of them are white women. I grew up with white women. My mother's a white woman. She's Irish. Can't beat that. But, at the end of the day, systemically, she is a white woman. And it is imperative that my white friends still see me as their Black friend. Like, there is no joy in you not, quote unquote, seeing color. That means you don't see me. It's kind of like if I lost a limb and I know you're not my handicapped friend. Oh, yes, the fuck I am. And if you can see that, then you will see how this world needs to change, right? You should see how we need 36-inch doors just made, period, to accommodate all wheelchairs and larger bodies, right? You should see how buildings, if all of this new construction, why are ramps not already in there? Why? Why? Right? Because we're trying to view the world as like, no, you're not handicapped. It's okay. No, it's actually not okay. It's not. And if we're going to be creating these systems, if we're going to be rebuilding, if we're going to be recreating, we have to see the deficits within people based on supremacy culture, right? So, and then create the world that there are no more deficits. Pedro, they made lampshades out of our skin, soap, etc. Oh, honey, shoes, clothes, your couches, instead of like wasting the cotton, because God forbid you'd want to waste the cotton you weren't picking, they would use our hair. Yeah. Okay. So let's get through this point one. You guys got me chit-chatting. I'm already almost at my time. Okay, so listen. So now how that looks, right? Because I said the moderates chose civility while lynchings happened in broad daylight. The rise of robber barons was met with polite applause in drawing rooms while workers starved in the streets. People feared disruption more than dehumanization. And now that looks like today's version of that comfort is not wanting to get political. Right? I don't do those things. I can't. Right? It's the people in the comments. It's very interesting. I love social media for its sociological points of view. When you're looking at these things, the most used word is embarrassed. I am so embarrassed. I'm just so embarrassed that this is happening. And I'm sorry to tell you, my friends, embarrassed is not the emotion you should be having, right? Because embarrassed tells me that you're okay with it as long as other people don't see it, right? Like in the Moderate article, I was like, what you are mad about is your grandpa's out of the house. Okay. It was fine when grandpa was in the living room talking that shit. It was okay when grandpa was in the living room talking about Black people, trannies, homos, faggots, and all. That was cool, right? Because we can contain grandpa. But grandpa's outside, running rampant, okay? The emperor's new clothes style, butt-ass naked thinking he's fully dressed, and you're embarrassed. That's polite. You should be disgusted. You should be appalled that this is the situation that you have fucked, fed, and bred for thousands of generations. You should be grieving. You should be grieving that whiteness has stripped your humanity so much from you that you can't even see other white people and feel bad that they're going to be displaced, homeless, and bankrupt because they're stupid. Like, 2019, he bankrupted them too, but here he went. But he sold a thing. And you can't, I just was talking about this the other day. You can't say in the same breath, like intersectionality is so much broader. You can't say that the average reading in America is between sixth and eighth grade. That is the average reading level of America. And the truth of the matter is, most things are taught and delivered in a fourth grade. Fourth grade, 10 years old. Most things are delivered at a fourth grade comprehension level. So 80% of the population can understand, and you want them to have critical thinking skills. It's wild to me. So, like, you could definitely be like, I told you so, because I told you so. We've been telling you for 400 years and better. But your job is supposed to be like, I told you so. Are you ready to work with me now? Are you ready to do something? Are we ready to fight back on the system? Instead, white body people want to be like, stupid ass, you got what you voted for, and come on over here to the side of the non-whites and be like, you see? And I'm like, no, do you see? Do you see? We've been seeing, and you are not safe, okay? Because I'm definitely going to be like, you know what? I told you so. You're stupid. Give me a hand and let me help you. You're too dumb to function. That can happen, right? And let me help you and educate you. Let's see how we can figure this out, right? And then this is also how you get to separate and curate your community. There's going to be some that want to remain that stupid and foolish and believe, and let them, and work with those who are willing to turn around and say, God, I made a mistake, right? Yes, I was 100% willing to let all of these things happen to Black and brown people, but that's not new, right? It goes right back to these cycles. That's not new. That's on brand. That's whiteness. And that is what white body people need to be dealing with. That is not new, right? And embarrassed is not what you should feel. Grief, sadness, woe, despair, disappointed, ashamed. So many other things I could think of off the top of my head, and embarrassed is not it. Let me scroll back. Mhm. Abia said, compared white women's dismissal of people of color to men's dismissal of women in general. Oh, yeah, I did. Did we hear that? Is that, or are you just agreeing with it? Caring about what happens to people in bodies like ours isn't political. Pedro says embarrassment is tied to the fear of death. This is true. Mia says that dang, the quiet part out loud, that's making rounds. It is. It really, really is. Chandler says, I think it's a lack of language. Embarrass is the only word these white people know. They don't know the meaning of decolonial grief. I agree, but that's something that I'm hoping to help touch. Because there has to be some grief. There has to be some recognition that this is not new. These are the systems created by your own people at first for your own people, and then able to be transferred onto us. And this makes it inescapable. And even for me, I then have to be aware that obviously I'm a Black person, but then I have to be aware of how I show up in the world. I have to be aware of colorism, featureism, texturism, all of those things, my own proximity to whiteness based on my own lineage. All of those things also then play out. And these things have to be recognized in order to be dealt with. You must deal with all of the truths, holding the multiplicity of all of those things. Do-do-do, do-do-do. Okay, let me get back here. Look, y'all got me over my time. I love you. Feels good to be fully actually back, though. I'm not going to lie. All right. So here we go. Now it's today's version of that comfort is not wanting to get political, choosing neutrality in the face of violence, quoting MLK out of context. I hate that. Hate it. While ignoring Black voices and calling for structural change. The reframe that I want to offer here for you, if this is who you are and you show up in the world, is to remind you that you're not keeping the peace. You're keeping the system. Okay? Tear it up. It's okay. Right? The goal is to build together something different, right? And in whilst we're dismantling, we are building those parallel systems. My answer to those farmers in Arkansas is let it go. Move in together. Okay. One of y'all, first of all, you're not even acknowledging the full breadth of that. Okay. You're on stolen land. Okay. That land belongs to the indigenous people anyway. You're also not acknowledging for those 7 generations that you've been a farmer. A lot of those generations, you had enslaved labor. So there needs to be hold all of that truth, and then you need to go and turn that land over to the indigenous of that area, and you guys go move onto one farm together. Okay. Right. Or parcel it up. Right? Put 5 families on your 20-acre farm, okay? And figure it out. And whatever you can start growing locally, you just make your own grocery store, right? Turn one of those barn houses into a grocery store. Let people shop local, okay? There you go. That's a parallel system. That's an option. The problem is you want to hoard your stolen wealth and you want the government to save you, whilst you absolutely voted for the government to disenfranchise Black, brown, and poor white people. So, no. Now you have to figure out something new. All right. Actionable step for this. Audit your silences. I want you to, and this is going to be in the replay, 3 things. Write down 3 times in the past month when you said nothing. 1 at work, 1 at home, 1 online. When something oppressive was said or done, and ask yourself, what did I protect and who did I betray? If you remember, or if you've been here during the 100 Days of Community, I said, here's your key. Here's a simple litmus test. Ask yourself who is not in the room and what are the barriers to that? Like, why are they not there? Why? Why? Why are they not there, able to speak for themselves? What are those barriers? Your job is to dismantle that barrier. Okay. Talking point 2, bravery isn't loud, it's consistent. Okay, my thing. Here we go. The brave weren't just the ones marching, they were the ones feeding marchers, hiding fugitives, writing newsletters by candlelight, or refusing to teach a whitewash history in school, right? A lot of people are brave in a lot of different ways. There's not one way to do this work, and that's absolutely fine. For every single human being that there exists, there is a different way to show up for liberation. Please stop shaming people because they don't want to do what you want to do. Monoculture is the issue here, right? When you're talking about the foundation of supremacy culture, Christianity, colonization, what it is the fundamental need for a monoculture. We are not a monolith. Not Black people, not women, not men, not trans people, not kids, not queer people. No one is a monolith, right? We all are tribal or clans, and we have some situational norms. We have some cultural norms, and you will find your people. But stop demanding that everybody do it the way that you're doing it. Find the way that you could do it to your capacity consistently, okay? Because monoculture is the problem. All right. So, how that shows up now. Today, bravery is being consistently inconvenient, naming white supremacy and other supremacy practices at your job, advocating for equity in school curriculums, refusing to soften your message for donors or social capital. I promise you I could be rich. 1, I'm pretty. That sells, okay? I am the palatable Negro, right? I am the Black person that makes white people feel comfortable. I'm light skinned, I got good hair, all of that shit. I could absolutely go out there, gussy up my language, code switch, put on a cute little suit, and they would fucking pedal me out like a goddamn circus monkey. Okay? And I could dull my message and do a lot of things and become very wealthy. Okay? From 2020 to now, like there was a huge boom in DEI. I could have made plenty of money with a Canva template and tempering my voice. Right? Hi, I'm Desiree, and we're here to talk about diversity. What does diversity look like for you? I could have fucking done that. Nobody was trying to do that. Do not temper yourself for anyone. Those who have ears will hear you. Those will be your people. They will find you. They will support you. Okay? And working together with other people, it's why I believe in collaboration so much. Come together, find your people, do the work consistently. Okay. So the reframe I want to offer is bravery is not the absence of fear. It's the refusal to let fear vote in your decisions. Okay. You got to do it anyway. You needed that, Abia? I'm glad I gave it to you. Actionable step. Pick your lane and walk in it daily. Everywhere I go, there I am. I promise you, I am not going anywhere and not talking about dismantling supremacy culture and liberation. Everywhere I go, there I am. This is not my job. This is my life. And my job is my life. See what I'm saying, right? I'm not clocking in and clocking out. This is what I do all day, every day. I love that I was speaking at a somatic group yesterday, and people always ask me, how are you able to do so much? I'm like, because this is my actual job. Like, Substack is what I'm working for, right? Like, same way you clock in and do 8 hours, I will do 8 hours of writing, of building, and obviously more, right? Because then my kids come in, I take a break, and then I go to sleep, and I have time freedom. So I'm able to crank out in a different sort of way. But this is not like my side job, right? This is not the thing I do after I get back from work. I'm like, this is my job. So pick your lane and walk in it daily. Ask yourself, where is your place in the ecosystem of change? Are you an educator, a healer, a disruptor, a builder? All of those things, right? Then choose one consistent action to do weekly that aligns with that lane. Not performative, not loud, just steady. And here's where I get to plug my academy. Think. So I have a focus group. Thank you for those who signed up. I will be sending you out an email tomorrow. And there is a cool little quiz that I based on Deepa Iyer's um, 10 roles in the ecosystem in social change, right? And I was like, okay, so I think that people need to know what their role is in liberation, right? And I am a 1990s Cosmo girl, okay? I had every single freaking magazine subscription to Cosmo and love the quiz. So I have created a quiz. So if you are unsure of where you land in your liberation journey, who you are, these things are going to ask you some questions and it is going to deliver to you here. This is your role. This is the best things that you do based on these answers. These are the pillars of supremacy culture that you dismantle, and here are the programs that you're supposed to do. Okay? Don't you miss quizzes? I miss quizzes too, because I'm like, I need a quiz for everything. So I created quizzes and it's gonna be fun. And I think that you should sign up for the Liberation Education Academy because everything is gonna be inside of there, especially me. But I will put that link in there to be a part of the focus group because only the focus group is going to get the cool little quiz. Okay, Kavita, I will text that to you because I know you'll just jump into the focus group. Lord, you say how that just left my brain right there? The quiz is brilliant, honestly. And not because I did it, but just because I've tested it out, obviously, with people and friends that I know. And I really, really like it. Like it feels like such a deep breath of hope. Like, oh, I have a path. I can do this work, right? And this is how I could show up in this work. So I find it to be amazing. So yeah. I will put that link into this replay. So again, ask yourself, where is your place in the ecosystem of change, educator, healer, disruptor, builder? Then choose one consistent action to do weekly that aligns with that lane. Not performative, not loud, just steady. This is not going to end today. You love that and you want in? Yay, it's going to be you. It's going to be you. I'm so excited. I really am thrilled about the ecosystem that we're creating and the collaborating people with me that are going to exist. Royal Star is actually one of them. Lady's Feet, just so many. It's beautiful. It's literally my legacy work, and I really hope that it lives beyond me and gives people the tools and resources to continue on this work. That is my greatest hope for this work, right? Okay, so talking point 3, moderation is not. Moderation is a trauma response, not a liberation strategy, right? So in the Gilded Age, moderates begged Black communities to just wait, be patient, to prove their worth. They said change was too fast, too disruptive. The same moderation became the cloak that let white supremacists retake local power, right? Because of course it is. Because now you have white people who, like, you have old money and new money in the Gilded Age, and I kind of love that, right? Like you have the Van Rhymes and you have the Russells, and the Russells are supposed to be the Vanderbilts, and like, you just have like all of this angst, right? And she's like, oh no, that's the aristocratic British money that came over, right? Or France or the other colonizing, Dutch money. I think the Van Rhymes are intended to be Dutch, right? So you have these major old world families that made all of this wealth because of enslavement. And they come to New York after they have, cleared the land because it's a land clearing. Um, and they're settled. And then these people are able to move up. And it's like, you should not have the same access that I have. I've had this money older, longer. It's more refined. It's more classy, right? That's respectability politics for white people. And then you have the Russells who are intended to be the Vanderbilts who are moving up, right? And she buys the house across the street from the Van Rons, and it's bigger, bolder. She has galas. She's forcing her way into high society. There's opera wars, there's all of these things. So, of course, I can't worry about what y'all doing down there. I can't, hey, the Negroes in the North are okay, right? They are also high tea in it and doing all these things. We cannot really worry about that. Yes, we know that they're not fully free, but come on, y'all, you're pushing it. You're pushing it because they're so busy trying to move up in the hierarchies of whiteness and escape their own poverty, right? And move up, right? And they're making money off of this. And in the capitalistic foundation, all bets are off. Right. And when you've been dehumanized for hundreds of thousands of years before you get to dehumanize someone else, your humanity is gone. So you're like, let's just take our time. Let's just take our time. How that looks now is we're hearing the same script today. Don't alienate people. Let's be bipartisan. Meanwhile, fascism grows louder and the middle just keeps moving further right? People consistently tell me, but we need each other. Right? Now's not the time for division. It is absolutely the fucking time for division. Absolutely not. You're not going to come to me and all of a sudden you need community. Community is not the thing that you fall on. Community is what you build so that when times get rough, it doesn't feel that rough. Community is not like, oh my God, we're just going to come over here now and we're just going to be jumping in because we all need each other. We have been all needing each other. You are not safe. What that is extraction. And that is what whiteness as a system teaches people, very specifically white-bodied people. It teaches you how to exploit, how to extract. And demanding community because the shit has hit the fan is more extraction. It is more whiteness showing, right? So we're not doing that. We're not doing that. We're not doing that. You have got to build it. Community building is a skill, okay? Do-do-do, do-do-do. So the reframe here is brave. No, that was bravery. My bad. The reframe here is moderation isn't a bridge. It's a blockade. You're in my way, moderate America. Liberal America, you are in our way to liberation. You are comfortable enough in this system. You have, two generations of homeowners, maybe college educated people, and you are in the way of those that are trying to get free because you are comfortable. But you are so much closer to being to those that are not free than you are to the elite. And you are bugging if you think that you're going to continuously stand in the way of proper progress, of true liberation. You have got to get moved out of the way by any means necessary. Either you figure out how to build community, how to deal with your grief, and how to dismantle it, how to live smaller. You do not need as much as you have. You are also hoarding, okay? You have got to do that. You have got to figure out how to actually be in community. And I don't mean 45 yoga instructors, okay? You have got to find value in the person that could dig a hole post, okay? Okay? Because if you need a fence to keep yourself protected, downward dog ain't going to help you, okay? Don't need no more Reiki masters, okay? We got that. We got that. Leave other people's cultures alone and start figuring out how you are going to show up in liberation work in a real way, or you will get left behind because you are in the way. You are not a bridge, friend. You are a blockade, and we will move you. We will bowl you over in our path to liberation because we want to be free. All of us, right? All of us. And white people need to recognize that you are not free. You have an illusion of freedom, an illusion of choice. Good morning, Ginge. I can't wait to talk with you on Friday. Okay. So I'll add some reflection prompts in there because we are super duper over time. Da-da-da, da-da-da. Oh, I did want to, no, downwards I won't hold you jam. Okay. Unless you're trying to get, but anyway, shh. Okay. So listen. My addition to that was the community building isn't a last resort. It's not a reaction to collapse. It's a sacred skill. When you only turn to community after the system fails you, you're not building, you're extracting. And extractive community is just another face of supremacy culture. So the actionable step there is what's one thing you know is true but haven't said out loud because it might cost you a relationship, a client, a position of comfort. Say it, post it, write it, sit with the discomfort, knowing that you're aligned. And that's it. I think that this is I tried to get it all in by the 10 o'clock mark, but we're only 17 minutes over. Thank you guys. And we had a really full breath of a conversation. So I deeply appreciate that. And I will be reposting. On Friday, Ginger's joining us, and we're just going to be talking about stuff. right? Because I want to do Friday with friends because, again, it just can't always be so heavy. It can't always be so heavy. So Mondays is always going to be, the free article, the free live. Today I did it where like everybody could hear this live simply because I didn't do it on Monday. And Wednesdays, so Monday, Wednesdays will be lessons. Fridays is going to be Fridays with friends. I will be adding in like a sign up for that. If you want to hang out with me, if you want to have a podcast, chat with me, just do that. It doesn't need to be big names. It doesn't need to be, and it could be a Q&A. We could just converse. We could just hang out. So I would like for Friday to be for friends and fun things. And Ginger and I are going to talk about, I don't know. We've decided a couple of things. Well, we're just going to talk about a couple of things, but Samhain is coming up in October, and that's both of our favorite holidays. So that may be on there. We could talk about some collective grief and ancestral veneration. Who knows? But that's what we're going to be doing on Friday. Pedro says, you saying that now is the time for division is why I wrote a Substack piece called You Have to Have Enemies to Love Them, right? Introduce a vocabulary for the people you're talking about. I call them scredians. I like that. Send me that. The podcast is here. Kavita said, where's the podcast? The podcast is here because when these go, it's considered a podcast on the Substack thing. It's not considered an article. This is considered a podcast. So if you if you go to DesireeBStevens.com, it's directed to my Substack. So you'll see it says like notes, podcasts, articles. It'll give you all of these options. And there you go. I found a Gaelic teacher to practice. Oh, I'm so jealous. I need that. If you want to be my teacher, then that's cool. Because I'm not good at learning languages on app. And I'm like, I have no one to talk to. Pedro says, Scredians are fake Christians who believe in 0% responsibility, 100% projection. Okay, I'd be interested in reading that. Okay, I'm trying to read out these comments. Abia says, bringing death to what no longer serves us all. Correct. We have got to get, aligned and take who's coming with us, right? Step by step, little by little. And it's not going to be these damn political lines. It's not going to be, you can't be asking to build a different kind of world and taking the same old rhetoric in. You just simply cannot. Jen says, I'm following Pedro now. I like lovers of words. Yummy. All right. I love you guys. I am going to jump off because I am actually a guest on a podcast today, Sunshine and Rainbows, with Sunjata and Shani. And they're actually here on Substack. I'll link them. And we're going to be talking about polyamory and my approach to it and how I use that lens in a lot of different things. And I am being featured in Sarah Rosensweet's podcast about decolonial parenting. So I have a busy day. I got things to do. All right. I will talk with you guys later. I love you. I mean it. This will be recorded, obviously, and recycled with the talking points, with some lessons, with the sign up for the group. So you can then take advantage of my fun little quizzes and really see like the inner workings of what I'm building with the Liberation Education Academy. Oh, Jen says, I love how you parent. I kind of dig it too. I love that. I do. I do. Thank you for who you are too, Pedro. I appreciate you. All right. I'm out of here. I'm going to have some coffee and I'm going to get ready for the podcast. Talk to you later.